Hello and welcome to the newest episode of Borderline Podcast Disorder. How are you? How's your how's your week been last week? Hope it was good. I hope it was what you hoped for, or better. Um, yeah, my week has been a bit of a strange week. I didn't. I struggled with sleeping throughout last weekend and then the start of the week. I think my depressive disorder, it's flared up, and it's it's been hard to manage. However, although still the lack and the tiredness, but then also the lack of sleep and stuff like this, it's still something that I'm struggling with. The Any, I guess, worrying thoughts have been are kind of gone now. It feels like I'm in a safer and like better place like that. Um, but yeah, it's been a very very difficult week, and luckily I've managed to see my therapist on Thursday, and she's helped me out a little bit, with understanding some stuff and trying to focus on some new skills. I think everything that we've talked about this Thursday was pretty much around. Oh God, what's the word? No, emotional. Yeah, emotional dysregulation and distress tolerance. Distress tolerance. Yeah, we talked a lot about distress tolerance, and we kind of tried to figure out what is it I can do in case say the thoughts that I had, or the things I was going through re-escalate, and it was quite helpful. I'm seeing her again today. As you listen to If you listen to this on Monday, then I'm seeing her again today, and it's just we kind of decided to go a little bit more often than usual for the next like week or maybe two, just while we or just while I get on back to like a better space in a better place. um and it's been quite a weird thing to I'm talking about like the whole experience for the past few weeks, and ultimately with everything kind of you know um escalating last week, because some things are really good. Like the podcast is doing well. Thank you everyone for tuning in. The comedy is going really well. Had some brilliant shows coming up, and I've been writing loads, and the stuff that I've been writing, it looks like it's getting to a place where I like to the place where I want it to be. I also feel like in regards to structures, that's brilliant, and it's I can envision, I can envision where I want my sets to go, and stuff like that. So that's pretty big for me, at least. It's something that I've worked on for a long time, and now to kind of see that it's getting better, it's amazing. On the other side, I haven't well, funnily enough, for the past week I've slept very poorly. But then yesterday, I probably slept for, I think so on Saturday, I slept for like 4 hours after lunchtime. And then passed out on the couch around midnight and then woke up at 7:30 a.m. on Sunday when I'm recording this, and I'm up now and I feel kind of good. But at some points during the day, this past week, I would just feel like I just don't want to leave the couch. So it's been quite hard. I've not worked out as much as I wanted to. I feel like my eating habits have got better this week with the help of. I started intermittent fasting a few days ago, um, just to see if that helps because I've noticed that when like my again because of how the last week has been, I've noticed even more that I will either when I'm feeling too emotional, I will either eat a lot or not at all. And so, yeah, I think now that I've started this intermittent fasting, I kind of like want my hope behind it is that because of this like time window that I give myself, it will help me, um, yeah, not I guess snack as much or just respect the amount of like the hours in between in between which can have my meals, and then I will plan accordingly. So we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you posted. But yes, in regards to doing like working out and stuff like this, I think besides of doing some push-ups and yeah, doing some push-ups and like sit-ups and stuff like that, I haven't been able to run. I haven't been. I went on a few walks this past week at times when I was um, struggling with my thoughts. I decided to put on my shoes and I would just walk around the flat. Uh, Sorry, outside the flat, not in the flat, but walk. Yeah, near where I live, basically. I think that would have been much easier for everyone to just say it like that. But yeah, I was walking around the place where I live, just trying to relax, a bit, just trying to. Also, I feel like breathe in some fresh air, and it was kind of helpful. It was kind of good. I was actually planning yesterday to go for a run, but yeah, again, once I got home from the Shabbat service, I just passed out on the couch for 4 hours. Then when I woke up, you know what it's like. You get a bit, or at least in my situation, I was just so lazy almost that I couldn't um, do anything. Or, yeah, I guess just to call it as it is, I didn't want to do anything, you know. And yeah, I just sat around between sitting on the sofa and sitting in the bed. But I think that's good enough for like that. That's. I think you've pretty much. I hope you pretty much gauged what's my week been like, um, and that's gonna be it. And I will let you listen to my 2 hour. I don't know how to call these. Still like, is it an interview? Is it a conversation? I like. I prefer the word conversation. I like. You'll be listening to my conversation with Tembi. Um, it's been such a beautiful, hour or so that we've recorded for, and I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed recording. Um, and yeah, look, she's doing loads of good stuff, so the fact that she took the time for this means a lot, and I'm quite happy and thankful, and feels privileged, to an extent, because again, when you get to have like those like super like busy creative people take the time to come down and record this. It feels really good, and it's something that I appreciate a lot. So look, I hope you enjoy listening to this as much as I enjoyed recording. And I'll catch you before we wrap it up for this week. Uh, yeah, talk to you later. Okay, so Tembi, how's it going?
Hello, very well, thank you.
Thank you for yeah, thanks for coming to today to record this. Um, I mean, you had a pretty of a eventful day, and you've been around a lot. You've been around
Yeah.
almost half of the country,
Yeah,
technically.
it's a bit of an exaggeration. He's only
Okay.
150 miles away.
Ah, okay, but because then from Birmingham to like I thought like Birmingham would be like in the middle. No,
It is?
it is. Yeah, so that's why it's like. I mean, no, because London is not technically in the middle. We are a bit. Anyway, you traveled a lot though. You traveled a lot, and then yeah, thank you for taking the time to do this. And yeah, well, I was gonna ask. So, how's your journey, or like how's your day been? First of all,
Not the best
because
because I've been going to Birmingham for driving lessons because that's where I was before I moved to London. And my theory is about to expire. So I'm trying to get a test. I was trying to get a test before my theory expired. And the only place I could get was Birmingham with my old instructor from 2020.
so that wasn't even like a coincidence, or it wasn't that I don't know you're like homesick or something. It
Not at
just
all. And do you know what? I shouldn't even be saying this because I haven't visited a single person in Birmingham. I've secretly been going back. Haven't told my mum, haven't told my dad, haven't told any of my sisters, none of my little brothers, none of my old friends. So every time I've been, I've just been like hoping that no one sees me as I walk through the city centre and just like, yeah, trying to sneakily just get my driving license done.
I mean, because that would be a nice surprise if you were to get a driving license and then be able to like, hey, I'm driving home to like see y'all or stuff like that.
That is the hope. I would love to drive home for Christmas. That would
Nice,
be
like the song.
yeah, there you go. If you want to sing it.
I what now? No, I think it's better for everyone listening that I wouldn't start singing. Although again, it's a very catchy song. But
Wrong
how's
reason.
I mean, it depends, you know, because Christmas is coming either way. So
Yeah, but
whether
it's
you
3
start,
months, it's ages away.
that's true, that's true, and yeah, like because was it for you, or like are you like a big Christmas?
No,
Uh,
not at all. We don't.
oh,
We don't really celebrate Christmas, even though we're Christian.
oh,
Don't celebrate it because the origin of Christmas isn't Christian. So, yeah.
fair. So like when you were like a kid,
As children, we did, and we like enjoyed decorating the house, getting presents and stuff. Now we just literally use the day to catch up with family because
nice.
we all live in different areas. I live in London. My sister, she's actually moving to Saudi Arabia, which is a whole different story. And
What?
then I know it's crazy. And then my mum is still in Birmingham. My cousins are all like Tamworth, Banbury, Oxford, so Daventry. Everyone just goes to Birmingham for the day, has good food, has a good laugh. We do like this talent show,
What a family talent show.
family talent show. Yeah.
Well, because it's like, is it just because like you enjoy that, or you actually like loads of people in your family are fellow creatives or like fellow artists of some sort?
It's funny. It's just our family tradition, but it's funny because we're not all that talented and not everybody is creative. So
When did it
yeah,
start?
I can't remember. I would have been a child.
No way. So yeah, it's actually like a tradition by
Yeah,
a
yeah,
real extent. Because I know sometimes people say, "Oh, we started this last year, and it's becoming a tradition," but you're actually talking about
yeah. It's
like
been years.
yeah, years long traditions. And what was I guess if you can, but obviously don't feel like you have to answer because if it's too much detail. But has there been a surprising winner at any point where you're like, oh, I didn't expect this person to win or this person to have this talent?
So we don't do like I called it a talent competition. It's not really a competition. It's just a talent show. There's no real winner, but I think I was most surprised at my mum because so my I'll talk a bit more about my mum in a bit, but there was a season where she was a comedian.
No way.
Yep.
And she was doing did like a stand up set.
She did a stand up. So throughout the year, she was telling us that she'd started doing comedy shows and all of this stuff. And I didn't like. Obviously, I knew she wasn't lying, but I'd never heard her say anything like
Funny.
like she's never been like the funny one out of us.
No
Um,
way.
but that Christmas, she'd written the most incredible stand-up comedy. I think it was like 5 to 10 minutes long, and we were all just crying with laughter. Couldn't believe it.
Was it like inside jokes or was it
Yeah, some of them were
combination?
inside jokes from her childhood that me and my siblings didn't get because obviously we weren't there. Um, things about my grandma, which I didn't know, but I've recently learned from spending more time with my grandma. Things about motherhood, things about work, just like lots of random things that everyone could relate to something that she said. Yeah.
Interesting. That's good. And yeah, I think I because I do have a I don't know I wouldn't call it a theory, but I do feel like everyone should try and like do stand up at least once, or like just write something to see like to activate that creative bit. And also I feel like in regards to I don't know, because I was even thinking about you could have like a family roast followed by a family roast,
That it felt like a family roast, to be honest. And I think she'd be very good at that. But I don't think all of us would be because I'm quite, you know how I talk, like I'm quite sharp and
Yeah.
kind of straight. So I think you know how roasts are quite funny. I
Yeah.
don't think mine would be funny. It would seem like Tembi just hates me, and that's not the case. So
I don't know. I
yeah,
find it really strange because I know you are a very direct person, but you're also almost always like laughing or smiling. So it's really hard. I think because I get it. Like if I think I always picture this. If I weren't to look at you when you say something, I'd
yeah,
probably be like, "Oh my god, she hates me."
yeah. I,
But then when because you say it in person and because I can see your reaction or whatever, you're like, "Ah, okay, fine. It's cool."
I actually do get that a lot, and it's something I'm trying to work on.
Like, do you have to? Can you actually send like audio messages, or do you have to just like record
I
videos
so
of you saying?
I you know how most people send voice notes.
Yeah.
I only send voice notes to very specific people who I know are gonna totally understand everything that I'm saying and the heart behind it. Other people, I do videos. I actually do like videos.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice. That's what. Again, you gotta do whatever it takes. It's and you gotta work with your I don't know with what you got. I guess.
Work to your strengths.
But because actually we didn't mention at the beginning because you were saying you're going to Birmingham to do the driving license, but you are born in Birmingham, right?
Born and bred.
Born and bred in Birmingham, and then we were chatting about how you became like what was your first creative outlet, or how did you get into this? How did you? Because by just for the reference for everyone listening, Tembi works as well as working as an actress. Do you do voiceovers as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, voiceover, but also she's a pastry chef. Tembi's treats. I had the tiramisu. It was a very good tiramisu.
Thank you.
But yeah, so that's the thing. It's quite to go from being uh, an actress and a voiceover artist to baking.
Very
Big jump.
random. Yeah.
But then, how did it all? I guess started.
I think this is very common with most neurodivergent people. Um, we are quite diverse in our talents and our strengths. And what's the opposite of diverse?
It's neurotypical.
Not brain wise, like just in general.
Oh, typical.
So essentially, what I'm trying to articulate is a lot of neurotypical people, and I noticed this growing up as well. In school, teachers would always be like, "So, tell me, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I'm like, this and that and this and that." And they're like, "No, just choose one." And I think a lot of neurotypical are used to just choosing a career and sticking to it. Whereas I never grew up in a household like that.
No
So
way.
yeah, my mom is an artist as well as a comedian now. And my dad is a musician. So yeah, I both my parents had very creative jobs, and also would pursue other things. So my mum, artist, she does like fabric art and textured paint. And then on the side, while I was growing up, me and my siblings were like we're literally all a year apart. But while we were growing up, she would also do teacher training. So she would learn what's in the curriculum so she could help us at home and kind of have that understanding. And then my dad, he would do like random like side handyman jobs.
No way.
So yeah. And then when we all left school and we all kind of went to our different unis and did whatever we were interested in, my mum started to pursue her own thing. Actually, no, we were still in school. I remember this is gonna sound like such a random tangent. In year 9, for me, that was 2009. There was a school talent show, and I was singing in it with this new girl to the school who was rapping, and I won that talent show with that girl. My sister came in second place. She sang a song by Nora Jones. It was beautiful. And then on that same day, my mum got her results from her like lawyer exam. So she'd passed and she like was like had just finished as a lawyer or something.
What?
So like this kind of pattern of doing lots of random things has always been there. So for me as an adult now with all these different careers and different side hustles, side quests as I like to call them, it makes sense based on my parents and what I saw growing up.
Interesting. And then, because you, I guess, how do you find that? Because I know for a lot of people there is the say feeling of pressure in a way, or like, oh, it's a make or break. You gotta like give your 100% onto this one thing. But then when you're saying that, which I get it, because I feel like that with my, I guess, my own stuff. When you do comedy, podcast, day job, and then in the I do some other like writing that I'm trying to get out there. But then you kind of like, instead of putting you put your 100% in everything, but at different times.
Yeah.
So do you like, how do you then, do you get, I don't know, burnouts, or do you like, how do you manage to balance all this, or like, at least not manage, because I imagine that sometimes it's hard to, but like, how do you manage to then get back on track, I guess?
For me, I just kind of go with the flow. And I don't feel any pressure in any of the areas. I think mostly because I'm quite a low, I don't get stressed out very easily.
Oh,
Um, and if I feel like something is getting like what's the word? Like not intense, but like I can't see what the pressure would be, essentially.
interesting.
So when I was acting full time before I moved to London, um, the pressure I guess would be to nail auditions. But then at the same time I still had another side job. I'm a ukulele teacher, another random one, children's party host. What else did I do when I was in Birmingham? Um, elderly homes entertainer.
No way.
That was my favorite. Yeah,
I
because
imagine, yeah.
yeah, I used to go to elderly homes and do singing with them, like from like the 30s, 40s, 50s, and it was so beautiful because a lot of them were dementia patients, and some of them were non-verbal. But when it came to the songs from their childhood, they came to life and they remembered every word. It was incredible to see. So I do miss that. I would love to start doing that again, but I just don't have the capacity right now.
I think I would start crying like a baby if
Yeah.
I were in these situations.
If it was just that, then yes, maybe. But other dementia patients are violent and gross. Like,
Yeah, no, of course, but
like I mean, literally, like flashing, smacking your bum, like getting a grab here and there. And it's funny because the staff will be like, "Oh yeah, back when, for example, if her name's June, they'll be like, yeah, when June's husband was alive, she never said anything. She was really quiet and timid." And he would, if we asked June a question, Herbert would answer for her. But since Herbert's died, she's just really come out of her shell and she won't stop touching people's asses.
no way.
So, like, you just never know what you're gonna get when you go to these different homes. But it's just never a dull day, and their characters are just so wholesome. Even
Of course, yeah, yeah.
the sus ones.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the ups and downs, and there is a lot of I don't know, because I always I think I get to this point where I almost I think I have this theory that every time I see, like, I think even when I think of my parents, my grandparents and stuff like that, I kind of assume that they've done something that in the way we look at it today was offensive, or again even like discriminatory in a way. And because I feel like that's better for me
Yeah.
than to think that, oh, I got the greatest parents in the world, but then they grew up in like communist Romania, and then in the 90s Romania and stuff like this, and you're like, yeah, again, luckily I don't remember seeing the behavior, but I assume that at some point they must have done something shit. And I
Yeah.
think that's pretty much how I look at someone now, because I know a lot of people, especially when you get like to see like people on TV, and you're
Mm.
like, oh, this so and so did this, and I'm like, yeah, but it was kind of like expected. I guess it's in a cynical way that I look at it, but it helps me
It's,
because I would get heartbroken too much and too
oh,
easily, you
it's
know.
just being human, isn't it?
I guess, yeah, and that's the thing as well, is like how, like, I don't know, it's wild, but I think when I was growing up, and like even like obviously I saw things about how you'd be like the man of the house, and you were kind of like naturally being in charge and stuff like this, and now then seeing my parents split up, and like we didn't have that dynamic,
Yeah.
and but then seeing it in other places, or like seeing it with like my grandparents, or like when I would see my grandma and my granddad sometimes having an argument, it would never escalate, because if my granddad was saying that this is how it is, again, there was never any, I've not seen any abuse. There wasn't it was just the fact that if he had be like, this is what it is, then that would be it.
Yeah.
And again, in one hand you're like, this feels a bit uncomfortable, when you're there, but then also it's just the way they grew up, I guess. I don't know, it's just weird to try and take it on the layer. And also I feel like with the but how did you get into this job in the first place? Like, how was it? Was it something that you like looked for,
I think
or you just like you just stumbled across it, you were and then they were like, oh yeah, let's try it, and then you just liked it?
I have very much lived a life of being in the right place at the right time. Uh,
Another But sorry, go on, finish.
no, go on. What
Oh
was
yeah,
it?
no, I was gonna ask you as well, what was it like, for you growing up, and then be because I also think for me growing up with like, oh, my dad's an accountant, that my dad's an accountant, and then my mom was used to be an accountant, but then she was a housewife, and you're like, okay, that's it. But what was it like for you when you'd see like your dad now working on like a music project, but then also being like a handyman, and then your mom doing like all these um different jobs, although similar to an extent, or although creative or like artistic, but also like, yeah, what was it like for you when people would ask like, oh, what do your parents do?
It's a weird one. I don't actually recall anyone asking what my parents did.
Oh,
I don't like nothing comes to memory right now. Um, I also realized I didn't answer your first question.
you haven't, but I would have gone. I was going to ask you again. Don't worry.
Okay, I can answer that one.
Yes, go on.
So the way I got into this artsy kind of thing as a child, I was just always into after school clubs. So it was at school.
Oh, okay.
My earliest memory was in year one. We were doing a production of Peter Pan, and it's weird because at the time I was shy somehow. I was literally shy until like year three. Anyway, so yeah, we're in year one, and I'm singing to myself, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, maybe coloring in the book, and it's not rehearsal. It's after the rehearsal, so the song is stuck in my head, and I'm singing to myself. I'm singing my little heart out as I'm coloring in this book, and the teacher's like, "Wow, Tembi, everybody stop, listen to Tembi sing. This is how you should be singing in your rehearsals." And I
What?
think that was the first time that someone had said that I could sing. Um, yeah, and then from there I just sang all the time. I was in the school choir. I played recorder, clarinet, saxophone, keyboard. I was just very musical at school, probably because my dad as well. Actually, no, my dad's a bassist, and I didn't play strings until like college. So I don't know. Anyway, where was I gonna go from there? Yes, I was just very creative from like school times, and doing after school clubs. That's where it kind of started. Um, and then when I got into secondary school, I got in trouble one day and I was in isolation. Cannot remember what I did. Like, I, I also, I was never naughty. I was just misunderstood.
I think that's a statement many people
Yeah.
will use.
Because I was always quite smart. Like, I never could revise. I couldn't physically get myself to revise. I'd literally fall asleep. And I remember getting really good grades and being particularly frustrated in classes because I couldn't concentrate. And if I wasn't talking to someone, or in my teacher's words, being a distraction or getting easily distracted, I'd be falling asleep. So one of those must have happened in one of these classes. They've kicked me out and I've gone to isolation. And there's this supply teacher in there, Miss Byrne. I will never forget her. She's an absolute angel. She never treated me unkind and she always listened. And that was very rare in my school. Anyway, I digress. So Miss Byrne was like, well, what do you want to do with your life? Because you're 14, you need to choose what you're doing
You fucked it.
next. What do you want to do for your GCSEs and all of that? And I was like, I don't know. She's like, well, what lessons do you like? And I was like, I like music, I like drama, I like PE. So can't I just do those three? And she's like, well, no, because you need to do like all of these other things.
Yeah.
And then we kind of Googled some jobs. I was like, I want something that's to do with music, PE, or drama that can help people. And when we Googled it, drama therapist came up. Um, which is, yeah, it's quite long to explain, but essentially I was like, okay, I'm going to be a drama therapist when I grow up. And we looked into what that would require, and it was you need to get a degree from a drama school and then do your master's in drama therapy at a different uni. So I was like, okay, cool, let me do that. And I just pursued that. I was just like acting from the age of 14.
What?
Then, like mostly theatre productions. Then when I was 17, I did my first film and I had a taste of the actor's life, red carpet, premiere. I was like, okay, drama therapy? No, girl, that's not for me. I want this actor's high life. I think the premiere was like eventually once it had come out, the premiere, I was 18. And yeah, I that was my first taste of like small town fame. I had fans. I had DMs from people on Instagram like that were very weird, and I was quite enjoying the attention. So I realized actually I really want to dress in ball gowns and go to premieres. I can't do that as a drama therapist, so I want to continue with acting. So that's kind of the route that I went down. Continued going to drama school, graduated from there. But whilst I was at drama school, when I mentioned right place at the right time, that's where one of the years I was living with these girls who were working for a music company and they needed someone to help out on the day. I said, yeah, I'll do it. £25 an hour. That was big money at
Oh
uni.
my god, that's very good.
Exactly. So I was just like, absolutely sign me up. Found out it was only £25 an hour if you're leading it, and it was £18 an hour if you're like assisting.
Participating, yeah.
And I was like, that's still really good money. Look,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed it. And the woman who owns the company, she saw my work during that session and she was like, nah, this girl's really good. She could lead one of these. And then she kind of just hired me from there. Then I continued doing those children's birthday parties. And then I moved on to, for the same company, teaching ukulele in schools, doing ukulele birthday parties. And yeah.
I remember talking about the kid's birthday party. I remember when I was a kid back home, it started to be a trend of having yeah, like I guess like birthday party hosts.
Yes.
And but then we were basically this like girl in our class. Her parents got the beauty from the Beauty and the Beast, you know.
That's incredible.
And so she was like around and just again just trying to like be, say like talking to everybody and entertaining people and being like again making like putting games together and whatever. But then at one point obviously she took a break, and then I remember her I remember seeing her like having a cigarette,
No.
and yeah, like
Oh my
having a
god.
cigarette, and then one of the parents gave her there was a bottle of I think it was Heineken, and she was like drinking like this like
That
Heineken and
is so
smoking.
bad. Oh my
and
gosh.
and I just remember looking, and again, I wasn't that like obviously I knew that that's not the real
The real Bella.
princess. Yeah, yeah, but it was just like it just blew my mind where the way she came out of like character, and you were like,
Mm,
she was like so like hi, hello kids, da, da, da. And then you just see this. I think she was like probably like late teens, early 20s,
yeah.
and just like smoking and having the beer, and again, which again, very understandable. It's whatever floats your boat. But it was just mind blowing to me, and I think when you said it now, I haven't thought about this in years, and now the
That's
I picture her. I picture running around in the garden, very rich because again, I know everyone afforded this. So the girl that whose birthday was, her parents were loaded. That's why they could afford this.
yeah, I couldn't afford it.
And yeah, and I just remember like just seeing her like just, and I was like, whoa, what is happening? And it just blew my mind.
There was one birthday. See, this is what I'm about to say isn't as bad as what you've just said, but it was the worst birthday I've ever had, like delivered for a child. The person who was assisting me is not a party host and is not a child person. She works in the office and there was no one else to assist, so they sent her with me. It was awful, awful. She went on multiple breaks because she needed a cigarette because the children were too much for her. On like her third break, bearing in mind these parties are only 2 hours, maybe two, three at tops,
Yeah.
including a 30-minute break for them to have food. So during this woman's third cigarette break, which is not included, she disappears and she's gone for like 20 minutes and I'm texting her like,
Hey, what up?
"Hi, where are you? I need you to help hand out these ukuleles, like, get back here." She's not replied. So I'm doing everything myself as well as like doing there's a music section and like a singing section with dance moves and a ukulele section. So I'm trying to deliver both and get the ukuleles ready because she's nowhere to be seen. And then the parents come over and they're like, "Oh, can you sing Happy Birthday now?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I've gotten the soundtrack up on my phone. I've linked it to the speaker, and mid song she phones me back and ruins the birthday song because it's playing from my phone.
Yeah, yeah.
It was so awkward and uncomfortable. So I just like in the moment took a minute, pulled out the aux, got them to continue singing, and then answered the phone because I pressed, I hung up on it. It had skipped the song, so even though everyone is still singing "Happy Birthday," when it's come back in, it's gone back to "Happy Birthday." So it's like it's just everything's
Out
just
of
a
tune.
mess,
It's
out of
yeah.
tune, out of time. Chaos. So I just rip it out, and I'm like, "Okay, everyone, carry on singing." Phone her back like, "Where are you?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm just sat in the car. You okay? Are you okay? What are you doing?" Anyway, yeah, that was the worst one, and yeah, that I could have quit that day. It was so hard with her. It was harder because she was there.
She was there. Yeah, fair enough. I think when you need someone, especially in these situations, but it's a bit hard because I would have. I mean, in one hand, I get it, but in the other hand, I would expect for people to like be, when you, I guess, partner with someone to do something like this, you would have been together at least once before, or you'd know
Exactly.
each other,
Yeah.
because then you know whether you're a good match.
But even if you're not a good match, you should know your responsibilities and what's expected of you.
True.
Just do that. That's the bare minimum, really, isn't it?
Especially for £18 an hour, you know. Yeah, I don't think I make. I know I exaggerate. I make now over 18 pounds an hour. But what I'm saying is, I think my first job in England was like £35 a day cash for 10 hours work. So I'm like,
10 hours.
yeah, it was wild.
That's disgusting.
I know, but it's because again, it was like a cash in hand sort of like under the table. I was 17 as well, so.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, yeah, if someone would have given me 18 pounds an hour, I would have sang "Happy Birthday" constantly.
You'd probably be really good.
While singing happy birthday, or
Yeah, just in general because it's really fun, like the games that we play and stuff.
I feel strange though because I always have this I don't know, I feel like I like being around children, but I also have like very like I don't know, like my boundaries or like my social batteries are done, and when they are done, I'm done. You know, like I
Yes.
gotta. So that's I
Yeah.
don't know how, but obviously that I've never been paid to be around children. so so I don't know how would I, you know, like when that you take that in consideration, how it would feel. But I know that now, even when I was around my niece and nephew growing up and things like that, I would be like, okay, we're having a great time, we're having fun. But then at one point, I'll just be like, you gotta piss off now. Like I gotta, you know, have my peace. Yeah. So I guess that would be an interesting job. But I guess, you know, I can do stand up to, you know, kids
And just
and
roast them.
no, I think that they go to school for that.
Oh, yeah, so true.
I don't
That's
know what
so
it's
true.
like now, but I'm sure. Yeah, I remember I think when I was at school, I was roasted constantly, and without even like my permission. Like there wasn't like, oh, here's 5 facts about
Who
me.
has permission to get roasted? Sorry, who gives permission to get roasted? Unless it's, I guess,
But no, that's what I'm saying. Because like now, you know, you'd be like, oh yeah, here's like 10 interesting facts about me. Do your best. While when I was a kid, I was just like, you're fat. And I was like, I know, fair enough. And like,
literally just existing and being roasted.
yeah. But now you did you obviously we talked about like how you, but yeah, so then music was your first thing, then it was acting,
Yeah.
and then how did you get into making like pastries? Was it actually like one of those like COVID things where you were like, oh,
No, actually.
okay.
So I need to explain my arc out of acting. So I was in 2019. I had a really depressing year where my the only acting jobs I was getting were really depressing,
No way.
extremely depressing. And one thing about drama school is they teach you how to tune into these really dark emotions, but they don't teach you how to switch them off afterwards. They don't teach you how to get back to yourself. And so in 2019, for the first 6 months, I was doing a theatre tour, which was really emotionally taxing, where my character would wake up she would get knocked out by her boyfriend on stage, and then she would wake up and see her two children dead. And I'd have to reenact that like sometimes 3 times a day for 6 months. Like it was a lot. And then I remember telling my agent at the time, like, I need, excuse me. Yeah, I remember telling my agent at the time that I need something a lot more lighthearted because this is too much. Like I need I just get me an audition for a comedy or something. So the next show that she gets me into is about suicide.
Nice.
So I'm like, thanks. I nearly said her name. Yeah, so it's about suicide, and that was a 4 month tour.
Was he a
Um,
funny suicide?
Not at all. It
Okay.
was really dark. It was basically to highlight the biggest killer of men under 35 is suicide. Um, yeah, it was dark, man.
And what were you doing there?
I was a narrator. Yeah.
Nice.
So that was a musical. So a lot of the narration was
Yeah,
through
yeah, yeah.
song. The songs were dark. It was so sad. And then when that one was coming to the end, so I think on my third month of that tour, there was like a month left, and I
Yeah.
told my agent like, I need time off or I need a comedy.
Yeah.
Get me something. So she gets me an audition for a comedy, quote unquote comedy. I nailed the audition, I get the role, and then I read the script. And it's not a comedy. I mean, I guess it is a comedy, but it was about misogyny.
Wait, what is misogyny? I'm so sorry.
No, it's cool. Maybe it's a good thing that you don't know what it is because it means that you don't partake in it. But it's basically crimes against women.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I do not partake, but also yeah, I heard about like misogynistic behavior,
Yes,
but I didn't actually know what it means. So,
yeah. So the play was essentially crimes against women and the difficulties that they've had in work. Basically it was a court case.
oh wow.
Um, Not a court case, a courtroom with multiple
Yeah.
cases,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and I was playing three different characters for three
Oh.
different cases, and each case just got darker and darker. So yeah, I was like, yeah, insert name. Let's pretend her name's Melissa. It's not. But I was like, look, Melissa, my agent, I cannot do this anymore. I need a break. So I got a job in Romania
Nice.
in near Brasov, Transylvania. Actually, right next to Castle, like literally 500 meters away from Castle. Anyway, I was there for 3 weeks, and it was bliss. It was the most peace I'd had all year. I just felt like myself again.
That's so nice.
And yeah, it was so special. That was the first time that I saw a shooting star, actually.
You're welcome. I'm joking.
Yeah, Romania is just. I mean, there were some dark. I think I told you.
Yeah, we had some discussions about this,
Yeah.
but yeah, and that's well. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, go on. So tell us.
Yeah. So for context, listeners, trigger warning, racism. I love Romania, and I would go back again, despite my experience. So, actually, recently, the location that it happened in was viral on TikTok. Can't remember the name of it, but there's this really gorgeous spa in Bucharest.
Oh yeah, Terme. Yeah.
Yes. I was in there, and at the time I needed glasses as well, so I could barely see because obviously it's a swimming pool, spa, sauna, steam rooms, whatnot. And there was a group of teenage boys that were pointing at me and saying the N word. For context, if you can't tell by the texture of my voice and tone, I am a black woman. But yeah, they were pointing at me and saying the N word, and I was just really uncomfortable because I'm basically stood in front of you naked, with my most private parts being covered, but everything else exposed. Felt really uncomfortable. But still, I would go back to that spa because it was incredible. It's got like an outside bar and stuff. Anyway, I digress. So another day, we were in the Brasov town centre, and I was walking down the main street. Literally stood right outside this Irish pub. Very random to see in Romania, an Irish pub, and another group of men. That were older than teens, like maybe late 20s, and they also were pointing at me and calling me the N word. That had never happened to me before. Like I'd experienced racism, but never being pointed at and being called the N word. So that was a lot for me. But again, despite how uncomfortable that was, I still felt safe, and I would still go again, and I would still recommend it.
I was gonna say this is like such a heartbreaking thing to hear, but also, and it's gonna be hopefully not that controversial, but I'm not surprised
Yeah.
because I think as this is what we talked about, where I think sometimes you hear people using it like as, but again, like Romanian people use it as like as a sign of like endeavor or something like that, and then you're like, no, but it's not for you to use in the first place,
Yeah.
like this is it's just mind blowing, I think, to kind of, because I think that's what we had the conversation about, where like sometimes you like I'd go to Romania, or like I hear especially like teenage kids, and they're like, calling each other the N word, like,
Really?
yeah, like
Wait, to each other?
yeah, to each other.
Gosh.
Like what again? Like what's happening? Like
Wait,
what is?
I have two more stories. We've took a turn. But this is unrelated to Romania.
That's fine.
My husband, a black man, he's always in Paris because he does like music for Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week. And so for his birthday, basically Paris Fashion Week this year in January, he went, but we were doing a fast with our church. So one of his favorite things to do when he's in Paris is go to the coffee shops and have pastries. But because we were fasting, he didn't get to do that because they closed before we started eating. So for his birthday, I flew us out to Paris for the day, literally just for the day. Oh wait, no, it wasn't for the day. We got there a day before, so we landed in the evening, stayed for the day, and left the next day in the evening. So when we arrived, we went to a bar and they were playing. Is it Jay-Z? I don't listen to rap music, so I'm not certain who sings it, but it's the N words in Paris.
Oh
Is it
yeah.
Jay-Z?
It's Jay-Z, and but the name is banned from the podcast Kanye.
Ah,
I'm
yeah,
joking, but that's
no,
fine. Yeah, I know. I
understandable.
know. Yeah. Yeah, Jay Z and Kanye, yeah, and in Paris, yeah.
Yeah, so they played that song when we walked in, we got our drinks, and then they played that song. And then the barmaid, she was like, hey, 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 Paris. like, she was like, look, Toon, in
Yeah.
Paris. And I'm literally just sat there in shock. My husband's like crying with laughter.
Oh.
I'm sat there like, what? What is going on? What is actually going on here? And what makes it worse, I used to hate going to Paris because my first experience in Paris, this has turned into a racism podcast.
That's fine. It's we haven't we I don't think I've talked about racism in a very long time, so it's
So good to keep
that's
going.
okay. It
We've
doesn't
got
matter.
great stories.
Yeah.
But my first experience in Paris, I was 13 and it was my birthday. So we were going to Disney. And we were there for a few days, but we were only doing Disney for the last day or two. So the first couple of days we were just kind of going around Paris and some of the restaurants wouldn't let us in. Yeah. They didn't say why.
Oh, okay.
They did not say why.
Right. Okay.
But what I'm saying is I saw other families going in and being welcomed, whereas we were not allowed in. And that was in the heart of Paris.
When just for like how when was that?
I was 13, so maybe 2008
That's wild, eh?
ish. I'm not sure.
That's
Yeah.
mad.
Yeah. And then my other fun racism story. This is actually my favorite type of racism. If you can have that. China. Before I went to China to do some work as I graduated uni.
No
I
way.
actually missed my graduation to go to China, but then when I came back, they gave me another one. Anyway, I digress. So, when I got the job in China, everyone was like, "Oh, why are you going to China? They're racist there. They're gonna harvest your organs." A Chinese person in Birmingham told me. I was on a night out, and
Yeah.
he was like, "Oh, do you want to meet up next week or da da da?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm actually going to China in 2 days." So, and he was like, "Why are you going to China? They're gonna harvest your organs." I was like,
Thank you.
For why? Why on earth are they going to do that? But yeah, a lot of people tried to talk me out of going to China. And then on my journey there, it was 3 flights to get to Qingdao, which is where I was working. I got my first flight from Birmingham to Amsterdam. I missed my flight from Amsterdam to Beijing.
Oh.
Yep. And that for me was a sign that I should have listened to everybody. And yeah, I was nervous. Anyway, so when I do eventually get to China, the racism I experienced was actually really nice, like the best. So restaurants would be paying me to eat at their restaurant.
Shut up.
If they could take a photo of me with like the restaurant owners and put it on their wall. I'm not joking, like it's actually crazy. So that's why I say that was my favorite type of racism. They were the best. It was annoying at times, like if I was at the beach, they'd be taking photos of me and I'm like literally like again half naked.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. Sometimes I'll be with like children and they'll be taking pictures of me, and because I'm with children, they've also got pictures of children. But yeah, it was incredible. Like there was a time we went out one of the nights and we got invited to this like penthouse party. And that's where I learned that if you're a Westerner, if you're white or if you're black, you're gonna get paid to go to parties just for your presence there. Not even in like a weird way. Just your presence shows that the host has status to have someone Western there.
Interesting. I might go now.
Yeah.
But
Make it
although
to party.
yeah, just but I think that's actually when you were saying like this is like the best type of racism where you're like again, like I said, annoying, but also bring it on, you know, sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially when you have those stories about like, which again, very sad, but you know, like Romania or like the experience in like France, and then you're like, oh, would you like to have free food to take a picture with
literally
us?
they're like, please just try it. He's gonna take a picture. And the ones who asked, anyone who asked me to take a picture, I would say yeah. Because there were so many who didn't ask and just took it like I was an animal in the zoo.
Yeah, that's I think the one where I'd be like, hey, at least, you know, ask or like I guess, yeah. Again, ask. I think I was gonna say pay up, but also ask. Just like, hey, can I take a picture? Yeah.
I was with another guy, Milo. He would tell people like, if you want a picture, it's 10 yuan, which is about £1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Still,
so he was making money.
that which is fair enough. I think, yeah. If it was me, I would have probably been like 10 yuan for a picture, and then if you want a signed picture,
A
it's
signed picture.
50 yuan.
And yeah, you can charge him to touch your hair and everything.
No, but I don't know, because again, like I feel like it's really again, like those things are heartbreaking. But then again, I'm like, yeah, I get it, because
Yeah.
you see it, and this is, I think it goes back to the thing that I was saying earlier, or like my view earlier about the, you know, the like the people in like the elderly,
Mm,
where you're like, because it just feels like the rules are different, and again, like obviously, I think as a human being, you're like, hey, why are you bothering, like that's the thing, why are you bothering someone, why you're being, again, like strange or like weird with someone.
yeah.
But then ultimately, yeah, I just think that I could only imagine that, I don't know, like there was, I remember in my school there was one black kid, but like that was it, there was just one black kid.
In Romania.
Yeah, in my hometown, and I don't even remember. I only, because he was like 2 or 3 years below me, so I only remember him for 1 year. But the thing is, I think again, like luckily, but also because he was way younger than me, I've never interacted with him. But at least the thing is, everyone knew his name,
Okay, yeah, of course, yeah.
and that was it. But again, I don't know what his experience was like. I don't know but I still remember when you'd see him. Like, yeah, I don't want to say his name, but I still remember it. I'm like, yeah, I know that guy. And that's it. Like it was quite. I remember at times you'd see each other, and you just like nod
Yeah,
as if like
yeah.
you've spoken before,
Hmm.
just because you again. It was easy to like, oh yeah, be like, yeah, that's him.
Yeah, stands out like a
Yeah.
sore thumb.
And again, I think actually genuinely now I'd probably be very curious to see, because technically I went to like a very posh school,
Okay.
but so that's why I would actually want to know what was it like. But again, I haven't. That's very. I think he might have leave town after, because I remember when I went to college and stuff like this. Although my nephew was in the same school as this kid, I've never seen him again. So probably they just left city. Although, because again, I feel like it was pretty weird, because Romania, I think you still have this period of time, and also where I was living, we had a lot of like wood, people like business, doing like business with the wood and forests and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I think his family might have been involved in that.
In that, so they're
So
only there for a
probably,
season.
yeah, for not for a season, but like for a few years, and then they just left and they went somewhere else.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so that's that. But yeah, I'm so sad. And also, the thing is, I don't want to like throw any like shade, but like Terme is the kind of place where you see the nicest, again, the nicest things, and sometimes probably the nicest people, where you also see like the biggest assholes.
Yeah.
You attract.
That's everywhere though, isn't
I know, yeah, that's true actually. That's true. You need people to like be like, oh, I'm flamboyant. I'm like so different than
it?
whatever,
Yeah.
and you're like, no, yeah. But anyway, but oh my god, I still think
Sorry,
about.
back on what were we talking about before the racism stuff?
We're talking about, oh yeah, because you were about your break in work, where you were
Oh
like, hey, look,
yes.
I want the comedy, and then which I love the fact that your agent, although again I am actually looking for representation, so I wouldn't mind doing anything. But coming back to your, I don't know, but I was going to say that um I love the fact that you're like, hey, I want the comedy, and she was like, hey, you know what's funny?
Misogyny.
Misogyny. Yeah. And also be like, hey, do you know what? It's even better. What's funnier than misogyny? Or like one case of misogyny. Two cases of misogyny? No.
No.
Three cases of
That was
misogyny. And you're
so
like, yeah, you're like, where is the funny bit here?
it was comedic writing,
Of
but
course.
at the same time, it's just like it's not fun.
But this is also like what and again, this is actually going to be very Strange, but I'm going to ask you anyway because I'm actually genuinely curious. 'Cause look, for just for context, my favorite TV show, or I want to say like my favorite start of a series, although the end was rubbish. Criminal Minds. You know, I freaking love Criminal Minds. And then there is this guy called Mandy Patinkin. I don't know if you heard, because he did a lot of like theater as well, and he does music as well, especially like Jewish music. Very nice. But anyway, the thing is, Mandy Patinkin was in the first two seasons of Criminal Minds. And you know Mindhunter on Netflix?
I haven't seen it.
Well, but apparently that's the young guy from Mindhunter. It's they're now Mandy Patinkin in Criminal. Like that's when Criminal Minds is basically that guy being older now.
So it's like the pre-story.
Yeah, although again they
Yeah.
are like made by totally different production. Everything they are based on the same guy who allegedly is the one who created the oh god, I forgot BAU, the Behavioral Analysis Unit
Oh.
at the FBI. Anyway, so the thing is, Manti Patinkin, two seasons in, at the beginning, like two seasons in, he's like, I'm out. I tap out because he was like the emotional tool that it
Oh.
brings me to do this role and be like, you know, it's always about like brutal like serial killers, or it's about like terror, anti-terrorism, and
Mhm.
all these things. It was just like it's too much for me. It's too much. Like it's messing with my head. I'm done. And this is something that until now, again, obviously, I thought about it at the time and I heard about. Although I was for years, I hated Mandy Patinkin. I was like, why would he leave? You know, because to me, I think I was like, hey, this is the best thing ever. Like, if someone be like, hey, do you want to play an FBI agent? I'm like, yeah.
Why
but
not?
but then now listening to you, basically, like that's the thing. Do you want to talk a bit more about like that experience where you're like, you know, you have to do all these roles? And I think, yeah, for someone who's, you know, doing stand-up comedy, I'm like, you know, they gotta be like funny and a bit more edgy, or a bit more, I like to think I'm a bit more like direct when I'm on stage.
Yes, you are.
That's pretty much the only difference. But then when you actually have to play this, and also especially the emotions, when you were saying before about the play where you're like, you
Find
get
dead
knocked
children.
out,
Yeah.
and then you wake up, and then your children are dead, and you gotta, you know, express that. You gotta make it believable.
Yeah.
And I also think with the theater thing as well, because it's like it's just on repeat. While
Mhm.
at least in a obviously not not down talking anyone on TV or movies, but at least that's like a scene,
Yeah, and you
you
move
move
on.
on.
Yeah.
While with this, it's just like I said, 6 months of constantly, you know, I don't know. Now I was just pretending to be knocked out, but
Yeah, it is very taxing. So for me, the only way that I could actually get back to myself was putting my foot down with quote unquote Melissa, let's call her, and saying I'm not doing this anymore.
but in the moment, like, you know, when you're doing this, as in like you are, you know, on stage, or like
Yeah.
you're getting off stage and you're like, oh, the same shit again. And then
Yeah.
I don't know, say you got a text message from someone in the family, or you're getting a call, and was it different for you to then, you know, like, did you actually feel that, oh, I'm being like I'm getting angrier quicker, I'm getting all these things quicker, just because you almost had to live like that for a few hours a day?
You've just brought something back to my memory, which I haven't thought about.
Sorry if it's
It
bad.
it is quite dark. Trigger warning, suicide.
Huh?
Um, in this play, at the end of the play, I have this really long monologue, and in the monologue, it's talking about wanting to commit suicide, but finding the strength within and finding the strength from God to not do it. And or who it's not like a Christian or Jewish play or anything. I don't know who God is in this context. Maybe quote unquote the universe or whatever. So I do remember one of the shows the day before I found out my uncle had tried to commit suicide. Yeah. I literally found out the night before that he tried to commit suicide and that he was in hospital. And I had to do this show. And I just remember tearing up during this monologue, which didn't normally do. I normally said it, and the character was showing strength and resilience.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a like a roller coaster of emotions as she's saying this monologue. And there was times where I'd like crack my voice to like show that extra emotion. But I remember this particular day delivering that monologue and just weeping and sobbing snot dripping out my nose, like proper bawling on stage, and the whole audience was crying with me, and it felt like a release. As
That's-
hard as it was to do, it felt like I don't even know how to explain. It almost felt like a community of people who had been hurt and were hearing each other's like cry for help.
I'm gonna say to me it sounds like, and again that's just like in my from my like my perspective is the case of like before it was a script
Mm,
and it was like an act. Well, now it's actually you combine that with your own experience of
yeah,
finding out about your uncle. You
yeah,
know, and yeah, I kind of I get it.
yeah. It was gut wrenching, absolutely gut wrenching. Anyway, yeah. So I did end up while I was in Romania, I did email my agent and I was like, when I get back, I would like to take a break from acting. She wasn't very happy. She wasn't very happy because I told her I was going to get a normal job as a Christmas temp for a tech company. Um, because I had before this email, I had a phone call with a friend who works for a tech company. She works retail for this tech company, and I told her like, I just need a normal job. If you know anywhere hiring, I will do anything. I just want to learn who I am again.
Oh,
And this is after I think it was like my second or third week in Romania. I was just like, this has been really refreshing for me. I need
nice.
to keep this up
Yeah,
and just get fully back to myself. So I had a pantomime booked in for that Christmas. This is like July, August times. So when I'm telling this to my agent, she's like, well, you're still gonna do your panto, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Just give me a couple of months. Also, I was the villain in the panto. And normally when you're the villain,
yeah.
everyone hits you and boos you and it's not nice. Anyway, so what was I gonna say? Uh yeah, so I get back to England. I start this job as like a sales person for this tech company. And for the first time I'm like, I'm good at something outside of acting or music. Like I'm good at something that is so unrelated to anything I've ever done and I like it. And there was a creative role within that company that I wanted to go for. So I called my agent and I was like, yeah, I want to cancel the panto. I want to stay. And I told her it was a temp job. It's just a Christmas temp. So
Yeah.
contracts until like the 5th of January. Can you tell the director that I needed to pull out for mental health reasons? She was like, yeah, fine. And then she suspended me from her books. I got suspended for doing that, for cancelling the panto.
What does it mean?
So
Sorry.
when you get suspended, it's a disciplinary action. So in the context of an agent, I got removed from the website, so no casting directors could see me,
Oh.
um, or casting agents. I got taken off of the Instagram page, so on the stories where your bios are,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was taken off, removed from there. So essentially, it was like I wasn't one of her clients.
Well, and that was just as if to say that, well, again, that wasn't without actually, sorry, what I meant to say, that was without telling you that, hey, by the way, if that's what you choose,
Yeah, it was
we're
after the
done.
fact. There was no warning. It was
Uh,
like, because you've chosen to do this, it's very unprofessional. I cannot risk having you do that again as my client because that will give her a bad name. Like, she will be seen as unreliable if I was to cancel another booking in the future. But I told her, like, I'm still open to doing adverts because those you can do over a day or three.
yeah.
So, yeah, she just suspended me and she was like, you're suspended until February. This is like October time. Suspended until February, then we'll have a meeting with the team and see where we're at. So February comes and I'm like, actually they kept me on and I really want to stay. So you can expel me now. So I quit. I quit acting. Well, I quit with that age and I still did acting jobs, but I did it on the side instead of full time.
Nice.
And yeah, it really helped with my mental health. I learned
Good.
who I was. I remembered who I was and I was able to be me and then still do those acting jobs on the side, theatre jobs. That same play, that really depressing play, that got brought back up. So I did do it again, but this time it wasn't a tour. It was just like, I think it was like 3 random shows.
Hmm.
So I was able to do that and still come back to myself afterwards after the shows.
That's good.
So yeah, and then I moved to London, and the industry got really dark. Also, between that time, I became Christian. So a lot of the acting work that was getting offered wasn't something that I agreed with as a Christian. So I didn't want to audition for.
Oh, I thought you were always like religious.
No, not at all.
No way.
Not at all. I used to get high all the
No
time.
way.
Yeah. I was not Christian before. Yeah, I used to get up to all sorts.
Oh, because
All sorts.
I generally thought that you were like that's how you kind of like grew up. You know, you grew up
No, not at
in.
all. My parents are like so far from religion.
No way.
Yeah. My dad is like, I shouldn't really say this because this could come back and bite him, but he's very anti-religion. He hates like religious people. Um,
Yeah.
one of my sisters is Muslim, the one who's moving to Saudi Arabia. One of my sisters is Christian, like me. Actually, another one of them's just come to Christ as well. So 3. I've got 4 sisters. So 3 of no, wait, I've got 4. Do I have 4? Yeah, I do have 4 sisters. So 2 of my 4 sisters are Christian. One's Muslim, and one of them's like my dad, no religion.
Fair.
And then my 2 little brothers also no religion. So yeah, none of us were brought up with any kind of religious discipline or religious education. None of that. And then yeah.
Well, so and then now to come back, you were saying you came to London.
Oh yes.
You again you became a Christian.
I became a Christian 2 years before I moved to London.
Oh, sorry.
And so my journey, it's such a crazy story. I became a Christian in 2020. Like I started believing in God in like and taking it seriously ish in 2020. I was still very much
Interesting.
sinning vehemently. I was working at a church as like doing their tech for them.
Oh,
Like doing their social media, doing like their live streaming because it was
yeah.
2020. And then in 2021, I had this encounter with God that just shook me to my core, where I was like, I cannot keep doing what I've been doing. I don't want that anymore. And I desired to please God more than myself. And then I started going to a different church, and I became a minister in that church.
What?
Yeah, it is. That's what I mean. Like everything just happened so quickly. And then I moved to London a year later. And so I was living in London, but commuting back to Birmingham on Sundays to like because I was a
Wow.
minister there.
Yeah.
And then I met my husband, got married, and started going to church with him, just as like a normal member of the congregation.
Wait, but did you meet him in Birmingham or in
I met
London?
him in London.
In London.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's a whole other story for another podcast.
Of course, of course, of course. But still, it's I'm so surprised because again, like obviously we know each other for context. I think we met in the first week that I moved to London,
Yes.
and then yeah, like then obviously we had a lot of or like no a lot of, we had a good amount of conversations,
Yeah.
and then to now again, like yeah, in my head I was like, oh yeah, you've always been like I know in a
It's because you've only known
I've only
me.
known you, yeah,
If you
yeah,
met Tembi BC,
yeah.
good lord. I don't know if we'd be friends.
What makes you say that?
I don't think you'd like me as a person if you met me before.
I don't know. I mean,
Genuinely.
I think the thing is I've also got to. I mean, I went to this because I grew up in a Christian community.
Yeah.
So I grew up with like Christian holidays and everything, and then you know I only learned about like my family's history and everything as time. But then even as I found out about like my family's history, we were still a part of the community. You know, we were still I was still like, although I stopped going to church when I was a teenager. I think around when my parents were like started separating. I was a bit like I'm not involved with this. And then as I moved to UK and my life was like a nightmare, I was like, you know what, I hate religion. I went to that point where I
Yeah.
was like, you know what, I don't, because I was like, in one point I was like, why would, like, what if, I think I remember at times thinking, what have I done to deserve this? You
Yeah.
know, it just doesn't make, like, it's not fair. It doesn't make sense. I'm done with this. And yeah, for a few years I was kind of like, and I remember I used to, because I still find myself. I mean, I do much better now, but I used to always pride myself into being like into hating contradictions.
Yeah.
You know, where I was like, oh, I don't like this, because you're either, it's either like, it's either black or white. It's
Mm.
either yes or no. You
Yeah.
can't.
I'm like that.
You, and but then the thing is, when I was looking at like in religion, I was like, hey, this doesn't make sense, because then there are like so many gray areas when you're actually, you know, or at least like to me, I was like, because in one hand you'd say like, oh yeah, I love like everyone, but yet everyone's like fighting, or everyone's like trying to, like, you know, knock each
Yeah.
other out. I'm like, it doesn't make, it's not for me. But anyway, all I'm saying is I get it, you know, because again, in one way or another, I've been there, and I think everyone's journey. That's why I feel like now, you know, it's fair enough, because I only recently I was talking with a good friend of mine. No, recently, maybe like a year ago. I was talking, which still recent, but I was talking with a friend of mine, and we were talking about like basically he said this to me about like Nietzsche, who's like is famous for being like one of the best atheists in the world, because like, he's one of the people like came like with the concept. And but then even like basically he had this thing where he said that, you know, you can't just give up God and not replace him with anything. Like you still need something
To have faith
to
in.
have faith in, or
Yeah.
like to
Yeah. Everyone believes in something.
and then
Everyone believes in something.
yeah, and that's the thing. And that's where I was like, oh, you know, it kind of makes sense, because I remember when I was, I guess, yeah, hopeless. You know what, I was to the point where like nothing matters.
Yeah.
It was, I lived very miserably, and I wouldn't say now I'm necessarily a the wild. I go to, you know, I go to the synagogue whenever I can. I try to, you know, I keep holidays and stuff like this, but I wouldn't still say, I still, like, I have a long way to go,
We all do.
but it's so much better, because at least sometimes I'm like, you know what, I enjoy the community. I enjoy this, like everything else that's coming with it,
Yeah.
and it makes me feel a bit better, and reminds me of the times when I was like, oh yeah, I'm a bit like, I'm all alone, and it's shit, and everyone's to blame. Well, now I'm just like, again, I still, I blame a lot of people for my misery.
But I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it is a lot of people, and I think that's the issue with religion. People are people. God is God. God is perfect, not people. If
Yeah,
you're looking at religions, sorry, if you're looking at the people within the religion to base the truth of the religion, you're never gonna find a religion that is good, because nobody is perfect and we all fall short.
yeah,
So,
that
yeah, so it's you need to find a relationship with God, and not just the people who also are trying to follow God, because they will always let you down at some point.
that's a very very nice way to think about it, actually.
Yeah.
You know, the way, yeah, you'd like, you ultimately have to see that it's not about the people that are, you know, says around you. It's your own connection, it's your personal story, and then whatever comes out of it is just, you know, like I said, in some cases it's beautiful, you know, and it
Yeah.
helps you out. And now, before we wrap it up, I still need to ask you, and we still need to get to
Oh,
the,
sorry.
no, 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 that's fine, we still need to get to the pastries.
Oh my god, I totally forgot about that. But to be fair, this is a very short story.
Fair.
So, um, for one of my birthdays, within the past 5 years, can't remember which one. I think it's my 26th birthday. I'm 29 now. I went to Italy, just a quick solo trip, um, as I used to do a lot at the time. And I was in Milan, and I'd done everything in a day, like all the sightseeing, everything there was to do, I did, and I was bored. Day
Yeah.
two, I was bored. So I was just like, what can I do? So I went to a cooking class. I learned how to make pasta from scratch,
No way.
and I learned how to make tiramisu.
Nice.
And when I came back to the UK, it was about 2 years before I'd made any tiramisu. But I remembered everything that, because I shot the social media for that class, and then I sent it to the chef who taught us.
Yeah.
So yeah, kept in contact, rewatched that video, and relearned how to make the tiramisu. I made it, and I remember bringing a tray in one day to work. Again, I do work in tech, but I have a very fun, creative job. But on this particular day, it wasn't a fun day. I can't remember what had happened, but everyone was feeling it. So the sales team and the repair team, we were all just kind of sat down together at lunch, and I'd mentioned to everyone, I have enough tiramisu for all six of us to have 1 teaspoon each, and then it's done. That's all I have left, and I'm willing to share. So everyone get a teaspoon, I'll get the tiramisu. So I grab it out of the fridge, everyone has a spoon, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is the best tiramisu I've ever had. Why are you not selling this? And I was like, because I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know how much to charge, blah, blah, blah. And one of the guys was Tembi. Whatever you're charging, I'm paying. Bring some more in. So I did. I trialed it out. Got some people to taste it and give feedback, and started just very randomly started a business, Tembi's Treats.
And I remember one thing. One of the things that my sister, she knows how to do some things, but then she doesn't know how to do some other things. But her tiramisu was always like spot on. And the thing is, she could never compete with my mom
Okay.
at anything else but
Apart from
tiramisu.
tiramisu.
And now, when you were saying this thing where you were like, "Oh, I've learned how to make pasta and tiramisu," I genuinely remember my like every time you'd ask my sister to make a dessert, it didn't, because I remember one time my I think because my mom had I think my mom was in hospital, and then so she was like, "Oh, just make something for like my birthday,"
Mm.
and my sister was like, she made tiramisu, like a birthday. So I had like
That
a
is so
birthday
sweet.
candle, a friggin' tiramisu, and that's what I remember, just like every single time. And I remember my mom sometimes like mocking my sister, going like, "Can you make anything else
You
but
don't need to.
tiramisu?"
You don't
And
need to.
my sister, yeah, that's it. That's my sister was like, "You're just jealous,"
Mm.
because whatever my mom would do, it
It'd
was
be the
not.
best.
Again, my mom did the best at everything else, but tiramisu and what else? There is one other thing that my sister is. Yeah, my sister does a soup, a Romanian soup thing. That's like, again, my she's out of this world. So there are like two things that like she's incredible at.
Okay.
Some that she's good at, and some that she's not great at. But the tiramisu, it's one. And now, as you were saying, like, oh yeah, it was tiramisu. I was like, it just sounds like my sister.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't mind trying it. Is she in the UK?
Nah, she's in Romania.
Well, I'll have to go
Yeah.
to Romania then, don't I?
I can. Well, that's the thing. I can. I was going to say, if you want to try, and I will happily um, pay for the first batch. There is something called. I'll show you the recipe. It's called the Fanta cake.
Fanta cake.
Yeah, and it was my mom's best cake. I'm too lazy to try and make it.
Send me a
So
link.
yeah, it's basically a chocolate sponge at the bottom,
Mm.
sweet cheese.
Wait, you've told me about this before, haven't
I
you?
think so. Yeah.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And
Yeah.
I looked at it, I was like, that's impossible. I can't make that.
Well, look, if you change your mind, I'm happy to cover the cost for the trials and be your be the lab rat, and be like, yeah, this is great. But yeah, no, it's amazing, and that was like my favorite. I remember my mom would be like, because my mom would make cakes every weekend, every Friday, with she would make a cake that we'd have over the weekend.
That's lovely.
Yeah. But and then she would like take it on rotation. Also, she used to make ice cream.
Ju-
She used,
I found out someone that I work with makes ice cream, and I had no idea.
was in to sell or just for themselves?
She just makes it for herself. And I was like, can you bring some in for me? But it's boozy ice cream, which I
No, my
think is
mom.
why she won't
My
bring it in.
mom was making again non-boozy wise ice cream, and I used to eat it with pickles.
Was you pregnant?
Huh?
Was you pregnant?
No, no, no. I just remember I used to eat. She would make like chocolate ice cream, and I would eat chocolate ice cream, and I'd be like, "Oh, I need something else with this." And I
Chocolate
would,
pickles.
yeah. I don't. Again, I was like 10, maybe 9. I think, yeah. We just moved into our new flat, so it was probably between 8 and 10, and I was eating ice cream. And I remember there was a Robin Hood, the comedy was on telly, and I just remember because we used to have a TV in the kitchen, and I'd put the TV on in the kitchen and sit on a couch. We also had a couch in the kitchen, And I would just like, yeah, and then I remember because that's the thing. My mom gave me the ice cream, and then she saw the lights in the fridge going on because
Oh my
you
god.
could see basically you could see the kitchen from my parents' bedroom,
Okay.
and we had like glass doors.
Yeah.
So then she basically came out of bed thinking that I'm stealing more ice cream.
And then she saw you
But
with the
then she
pickles.
sees me, yeah, with like a jar of pickles
That must have been
while
a
eating.
surprise.
Yeah, no, she was like, "Why are you doing it?" I still, I can't justify it. I've not had it since. I think it's disgusting. I'll
So
never do it
have you
again.
tried it as an adult? Because you
No,
might actually still like it.
I don't. I haven't tried it because the idea about it just throws me off. I don't want to do it.
Sweet and savory works though.
I know. I don't know. I'm not.
I just can't imagine the juice of a pickle mixed with like an ice cream.
Again, the thing is, they weren't touching though. That's the
Oh,
thing. Like
okay, you
the
didn't
the
mix it.
pickle. No, 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 no,
Okay,
no. That weird.
okay,
Like I was
not too
holding the
lucky.
pickle and I was like biting from it, and then I was washing off with a bit of ice cream or maybe the other way around.
That makes it so much better.
No, what I'm saying is they can't touch. That's all. The pickle and the ice cream wasn't touching. But yeah, anyway, that's my ice cream story. And then yeah, like at one point when my parents were divorcing, my mom started making cheese in our spare bedroom. But that's
Making cheese from scratch.
yeah,
Wow, what a
yeah.
woman.
That's the thing. Sometimes I feel like other mothers they would like cheat on their husbands, and I would know I would have preferred I would have
You
preferred that
you
over
prefer your mum to cheat on your dad than her make cheese at
yes,
home. What,
yes,
because of the
because
smell?
not just the smell, but like I had to go and like she would be like go to the market, because in Romania, I mean you've probably seen it in Brasov. You have like those like markets where
Yeah,
you
yeah.
buy vegetables and
Mm.
meats and dairy and stuff. So I
Mm.
had to go to get like all these like old ladies milk, and like I'd have to carry it home, and then I'd have to go again
What
and
do you
like
mean
do
by old lady's milk?
as in like old ladies that were coming from like villages nearby into the
Did
city
they
to
pour the
sell
milk?
their milk. No,
Like,
they weren't making the milk.
oh yeah, because that's
Um,
what it sounds
yeah,
like.
no, 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 no. They were selling the
Milk this
milk,
grandma.
and then you'd go like buy the bottles, go home, and then my mom would start her friggin' Breaking Bad like, you know. I had to go to the veterinary and buy pills, that you put to make the milk.
From the vet.
Yeah, yeah. In Romania, I don't know like what's this thing like in England, but in Romania, our vet was selling those meats, like those type of pills as well.
I
It's a bit different though, because no, a veterinary pharmacy. Sorry, a
oh
veterinary pharmacy, not the
okay.
vet as in like,
Where you
yeah,
go
not
for
a
your dog.
doctor vet. No, no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was veterinarian pharmacy.
Okay. That
So
makes sense.
I'd go to the veterinary pharmacy and then I'd buy the pills. But the thing is, the veterinary friggin' pharmacy was like on the other side of town. So but that's the thing. I was the victim.
You was the runner.
Yeah, and then my mom would like have like a fight with my dad, and then she would just disappear for 2 hours, and
She could be cheating, but no, she's
yeah,
making
she's
cheese.
making cheese, and you'd have like you'd go into my sister's like old bedroom, and you'd just have those like poles with bags of cheese just hanging from them.
I would love to have seen that.
And then the thing is, every friggin' like every day for breakfast, I'd have cheese
That's a
because we
dream. What are you on about?
yeah, but not every day. Like, would you like to have? I don't know. Like, what do you eat for breakfast usually?
Eggs.
Eggs. Would you like to have eggs every single
I
day?
do.
Actually, I get it 'cause I love eggs. I eat eggs a lot as
And
well.
but eggs are different because it's so versatile. So even though I'm having eggs, they're different eggs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
While this was one type, it was like kind of like a feta sort of, just to give you like the idea of the
Feta.
structure and everything. It
Okay.
wasn't like a no, actually mozzarella. Sorry, it was
Okay.
it was mozzarella.
Ooh,
Because feta it's
so-
saltier. No, it was mozzarella.
that's
But
so
imagine like
nice.
having mozzarella every fucking day. Sorry for swearing, but like you have mozzarella every day for like 3 years until they
Yeah.
moved out, and then my mom would move with my sister, and my sister was like, "Don't you dare."
Yeah, forbidden from making cheese in my house.
Yeah, yeah. We had like all. I don't know what it's like in here, but we freeze a lot of food in Romania.
Yeah,
I think that's how you show your wealth.
the deep freezers.
The deep freeze, and then
Yeah.
not only the deep. It's about how many freezers you have.
Oh wow.
Like when me and my parents, we were like at our best financially.
Mm.
We had two. separate freezers from the fridge freezer.
That's insane.
And that's like how people knew that we were like
Rich.
rich.
Wealthy.
Yeah. It was about having a TV in every room in a house and how many freezers you had. And then one of our freezers, I remember, like, although again, bear in mind, we didn't keep kosher or anything, but like one of the freezers was just cheese. Because like how much cheese we had, and the other one was meats.
What did your mom do with the cheese? Just eat it or sell it?
Eat it? No, eat it or give it like or give it away.
Oh
Every
my
time, like
goodness.
we'd have those ladies coming to like help my mom like cleaning the house and stuff like this, and she'd be like, "Hey, let me get you some cheese from." It'd be like, I think she would prefer money. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Every
Probably.
time we had like a homeless person like knocking on the door, going like, "Hey, can I like do you have anything?" Because I don't know, I don't think it's a thing in here, but in Romania sometimes you have like homeless people just knocking on doors, just being like, "Hey, can I get like some like do you have any food for me or anything like that?" And then my mom would just be like, "I got you."
Brings out a barrel of
It's
cheese.
just but Tembi, it's been incredible to have you on.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I feel like we still have a lot to cover, but we'll do a part two anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, before we depart, I was going to ask you, standard. Where do people find you? And yeah, that's it. Yeah, where do people find you, and how do people like stay in touch?
So I'm best on Instagram because I actually have notifications turned on for that one. And it's Tembi Xena, which is TEMBIXENA. And then for Tembi's Treats, it's Tembi's Treats. And if you'd like to come to a tiramisu workshop where I'll teach you how to make my tiramisu, then you can go on tembistreats.com and book for,
No way, you're doing this as well?
yeah.
That's very cool.
Mhm. I do it for birthdays. So you can see how it's all coming full circle now
Yeah.
from those children's birthday parties. Now it's like hen do's, birthdays, whatever. You can hire me and I can come and bring all the equipment, teach you how to make your tiramisu, or you can come to a group session where I'll have a venue set and then people can book in on Eventbrite.
That's amazing. And just for the context, is it only in London at the moment, or
No, just UK.
no way?
Yeah, you already know. I'm going to Birmingham for driving lessons alone. I will definitely go across the country if I'm getting paid to.
True. Yeah. Well, look, it's been so nice having you on, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you. It was good, right? I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed, and I hope as much as Tembi enjoyed recording this. And I think that's pretty much everything from me for this week. Um, look, it's I'm sure there are many other people who are struggling with their own thoughts and feelings, and it's a hard or a fairly hard time for many people. So look, I hope you look after yourselves, and don't forget you're not alone in this. And until next week, from me, Pickle and Sarma, stay skillful. Bye, folks.